What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trades and Gains. We have another midday options flow update for you, and today's tape has been loud and aggressive. The bears and bulls have come out of the woodwork, and we're halfway through our session, and we've already seen some of our biggest players show their cards, or at least a few of them, from heavy call blocks in NVDA, and now to rapid fire sweepers in AMD, Meta, and Coin. Today's flow screams one thing: risk on with tactical hedging. Let's unpack the biggest trades and sneaky dark pool hints and what it could all mean at the end of June and early Q3. So let's start with our big boys, the institutional size prints that set the tone. So to kick things off, we saw NVIDIA with the July 18th, 2025 148 calls, an $18.23 million block. Now 33,150 contracts at a $5.50 average with a bullish sentiment. This is a classic deep pocket conviction play. The July expiration makes this a near-term bet, but the sheer size implies someone's betting on continued AI sector momentum with NVIDIA sitting around 147. This is a clean upside play that's already heading towards the money. Now, the same strike printed twice today, and institutions love consistency, especially when that strike has a 1 point. Hold on, let me check something. Now, the next print we saw was now for September 19th, 2025, $1,100 calls, $6.85 million block that came through. 2,300 contracts at nearly $29 per contract. The sentiment here was aggressive and strategic. ServiceNow doesn't usually get this kind of love midday, especially in long-dated, high strike calls. But this print is loud. With ServiceNow at 991, that's a 10% move that this trader is expecting. Now, one thing to keep in mind, one thing to consider is this move is also priced in over 90 days. Pure institutional belief in AI enterprise and software growth here. We also saw MongoDB for December 19th, 2025, $180 puts with a $1.65 million block, 1,000 contracts at a $16.50 average with a defensive and bearish sentiment coming across the tape for this. This is a big premium for a long-dated put, a bet on MongoDB falling hard, or a hedge against a longer-term tech position. When tech flows are bullish overall, a lone bearish bet stands out like a sore thumb. We also saw GLD and UNG, some commodity blocks, come through. GLD, we saw the January 16th, 2026 380 calls, an 876K block, with the UNG October 17th, 2025, $20 calls with a $295 block. Now, the sentiment is risk on commodities here because inflation whisper trade or prepping for geopolitical volatility, these are slow burners, but definitely strategic. Don't hit commodities midday unless you're prepping for macro moves. And that's exactly what this is telling us. Now, some unusual activity we've seen today. AMD got multiple hits. We saw the June 27th 134 call sweep. We saw some 165 calls for December 18th and even January puts. And this is showing a mixed but aggressive sentiment here. AMD is in play across multiple expirations. Short-term calls are suggesting a move is expected this week, while further dated activity implies earnings or macro positioning. Seeing both calls and puts tells us someone's either straddling or unwinding that risk. Now, we also saw also seeing some Meta July 18th, 2025, $700 calls, a $1.3 million sweep, 562 contracts at a $23.20 average. The sentiment was YOLO or genius with this. Meta's nowhere near 700, so why would anyone throw 1.3 million into this? Two possibilities: deep insider confidence or a volatility lotto ticket. Either way, it's bold and it's not retail. Now, Coin, we also saw the June 27th, 2025, 375.50 calls, a $1.34 million block, 5,000 contracts at a $2.68 average. Now, this is a short-term breakout play. Crypto names are moving again, and coin is right in the fire. This is a 5-day bet in size like this, as someone's expecting a near-term catalyst from Bitcoin or ETF flows at that. And then Google, we also saw repeated hits at the 185 call. This is steady accumulation. We're seeing multiple mid-sized sweeps around the 185 call for August and September chains. Alphabet's been quiet lately, but the flow suggests someone is quietly accumulating in the background. Now, here's where we zoom out and see what sectors are soaking up the money today. We're seeing NVDA, AMD, and ON. The heaviest calls are across all those sectors today. Sentiment is bullish to neutral. NVIDIA's getting big bet love. Call side is absolutely dominating. AMD is more of a mixed bag at this point, possibly hedged or paired trades. And the chip sector is where the smart money magnet is appearing today. We also saw tech and SaaS with Now, MongoDB, and Google. Now is a high strike outlier. MongoDB is a quiet bearish hedge, and Google repeated 185 call hits. Software names might be catching a macro bid or positioning into earnings season. And then crypto adjacent, we have Coin and Mister. Coin block stood out earlier. Mister with repeated July call activity, not large but persistent. Could be tied to the Bitcoin ETF flows or pre-halving buzz building again. And then commodities, we're seeing GLD and UNG. Rare midday blocks, paired flow, could be institutions building a macro inflation bet. Not flashy, but it's very telling. So here's the rundown. The call side is dominating, especially in the semis and enterprise software. Some juicy short-term sweepers hint at end-of-day momentum setups, and hedging is still happening, but quieter than last week. Keep eyes on NVIDIA, Coin, AMD, and Meta into close. Watch out for volume spikes and repeated prints after 2 p.m. Eastern today. That's when the real whales will often step in. So that's your midday breakdown, folks. Courtesy of Trades and Gains and Investor Central Club, our favorite software. If you want this flow, we're still running that promo code where you can get your first month for only $30 using the code 130. That will be ending that at the end of this month, by the way. But I'll see you guys in the next one for our end of day recap. Hope you have a great rest of your day.